What's good, you
No coffee
guys?
today.
How's everyone?
How's everyone doing? We're gonna have a chill stream
Typo
today.
Odyssey stream hype. What's up, Moment? How are you, man? What PDBs boards are active? Are you guys still? I use PDB from time to time. I use it, to get angry. For example, I'm early for once. I think you are early for once, and the stream is not late. It just we took out sweet ass time. Thoughts on RLUEN sexual sex?
Oh, Big Five.
I
That's the
mean,
system I
I'm
really
not
need to
that
get into one of
against it,
these.
I'm not that against it, to be honest. I'm open to it. The correlations when it comes to Big Five is such a. Now, if it's a very unstructured, like very heavily unstructured, it's very weird. I would say it's very fucking weird. But if it's like a split, I would say I'm okay with it. What's up, Theo? Oh, Theo is always here. He's always on the stream. Always.
He's real for that.
Hello, Bellis Marvelis. What's up, the SP2 gang? SP2 gang is back in action. How are you? And they're gonna transform and roll out. Yeah, that's the Transformers quote. But it's actually Ring's idea to name this podcast as this, and I think it makes sense, right? Because he made a point that it doesn't matter if you're typed incorrectly or you have a weird combination, as long as you grow from it. So as long as there's a practical use for you benefit from Enneagram. In Ring's eyes, it is a net positive. It's a good positive thing, even though it's incorrect. But my kind of take on it initially was, well, it's not a good thing because if they're mistyped, they're not addressing their real problems. They're not actually addressing their true neuroses. So they're chasing this, fixing this issue, which they don't really have, while ignoring the big issue that they have. But it's not written in this particular book. But
Yeah, I want to actually give an example of what I'm talking about here, right? Let's say you're dealing with a ESI sexual for, phenotype motherfucker, right?
yeah,
And they identify as an SEE sexual 8 1V Giga Chat, right? And you know what? There's so much overlap that is useful for that person that they would get a benefit if they didn't start Enneagram, if they just stayed as they were. Start thinking about themselves, start thinking about their behaviors, their childhood, their background, who they are in the context of the bigger world out there. That would always be a net positive than if they never got into Enneagram. Sure, it would be nice to have them eventually self-type, and that's always a possible eventually self-type correctly, and that's always a possibility down the line. With more growth, they're going to realize, oh shit, I'm not actually this. For example, when I started Socionics, I instantly thought because I was ENTP in MBTI, I'd be an ILE, right? And I would be E3 because someone typed me E3 years ago. And
yeah,
so for years, I was
yeah,
just ENTP E3.
yeah.
And guess what? I was still healthier as a person before understanding not having any type at all, you know? And ENTP E3 with inflation, I think Social 7 LIE is very close, to be honest, as it's evolved. So I was in the ballpark. And I feel as though, from my experiences and experiences of others, if you're doing the honest work of reflection, looking into yourself, thinking about how you can be a better person, transformation, it's okay if you miss here and there. People with the intentions and using correlations miss anyway. So always have the right intentions. That's my thinking process.
That's one of the most logically healthy attitudes I've seen. Holy shit, this is too much, guys. Decapitate. We don't want
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
He's too healthy. He's too logically healthy. He's not an extremist. Like, what the fuck? I just finished my correlation list on my page. I'm curious what you're gonna cook up. I'm very curious what you're gonna cook up there. Well, another Rust stream with my hand in my pants. Okay. What Enneagram subtypes are biggest lol cows? There's no such thing as biggest lol cows. It's a person that's a lol cow, not. You can have an SP8 lol cow, like an you can have an 8 core who's cringe as shit. You can have a section 4 whining being a cringe lol cow. It doesn't matter. It's the person, not the type. Mods.
What does that mean?
What
What does that mean?
What does he do? He's like mods. Change his mods. Ban him, like that's a lol cow, but probably an 8 core, unironically, probably an 8 core. It's funny how many lol cows probably were 8s for history. But good day to everyone. What's up? What would you type? Optimus Prime from the Bayverse. Would it be some like dynamic type? Ring, what do you think? Have you watched the Transformers?
Yeah, I have actually watched all the Transformers.
It was such a long time ago for me.
For me, I can probably remember his personality okay-ish, but my thing is, I don't watch most content thinking about people's type. I have to watch it thinking about the type because that's a whole different mindset for me.
Especially back then. I didn't know typology was a thing and existed. Now maybe if I watch it, but maybe some dynamic type in socionics. I don't know. Ring, what do you think Jungian EF would work? Do you think Jungian EF would work with
you are so lucky, fellas, that yesterday I did a Jungian deep dive finally with my friend Celestial Worthy. So you are absolutely lucky because any other day.
Celestial Worthy is your friend?
Yeah. We talk. He has good takes.
I mean, he does have good takes.
Yeah.
I like kind of saucy of him because you know me. Seeing his tags, I'm like, is this one of those anti-correlationists? Like some kind of trying to feel him out. I knew Pragmatist is friends with him, but I'm like, But over time, he doesn't give a fuck. This guy has no fucks to give. He's not there to actually has his own agenda or he's part of this group or that group. No, he's just there to learn and give his takes. He gives zero shits. And funnily enough, I was like, shit, super knowledgeable. So that's cool to know. Okay, shit. Because I ask him sometimes. I read his content because it's very good.
Yeah, I think his content's really good, and that's how we connected initially. Because I love to talk to people. I like to connect to people who I feel like they have their own perspective in this big typology sphere, but it makes sense. It's consistent. It's sound. It's a perspective that comes from the data, from the knowledge, and I think that he's a good example of that. In fact, I'm gonna link him the podcast because I feel weird talking about him without letting him know we're talking about him.
He doesn't give. I don't think he cares.
I'm gonna link to him anyway, right?
I don't think he cares. He's like, whatever. Like he's a Sigma. Like I didn't know this about this guy. He's weird. Like he's like just doesn't give a shit. Like he's like weird dude. Weird dude, but very smart dude. Yeah.
So Jungian EF would work with Social 9, and it's so interesting because I was just reading about all the different Jungian archetypes, and I was trying to figure out what mine was in there. Of course, the easy answer is ETN.
What did you find out then about yours? Did you find yours?
I'm still in the process. This is still baking. So I'm gonna let you all know later. But I just want to answer this question on EF, right? So the EF in the original Jungian, right? They're people that have extroverted feeling, but they have introverted thinking as an unconscious archaic part of them. They're very politically correct in the terms of like the emotional sentiment, how things are in a specific social dynamic. What is a traditionally or generally accepted value is what they're really looking for. And all extrovert types are kind of looking to agree with each other, right? I think social 9 is fine for extroverted feeling, right? I think that there's better? Do I think that there's better options for it? Potentially, yes. But I will not say that for what I've read so far of extroverted feeling, that social 9 would not work at all.
Well, you're so open-minded. So
I know, because it's a bit different because if we say it's 1-to-1 to ESE, it's not. It's really not 1-to-1. You know?
I know. I suffered a great deal because of it. It's not exactly one-to-one. It's similar, but it's not exactly one-to-one. But
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep
So
going.
to me, they're very accepting and are dispensers of like social culture, traditions, what everyone kind of agrees upon, those feelings. They
So like make sure
identify and
that
address
everyone's
other
cozy,
people.
make sure everyone's like happy and go lucky.
Yeah, more on the emotional side. Yeah, and then maybe the EFS has a more of an aesthetic side to them. They want to be a bit more sensory in that way, but generally speaking, those emotions are something that are shared and yeah, it's very political actually. Very, very
Okay,
political. And I
okay.
think Social 9 could fit that.
There you go. Social 9, in his opinion, is plausible. What types struggle with most reactivity? Many types. This is a neuroticism problem more than reactivity. But maybe, I don't know if this is true, you could argue that the static types could maybe have a more predisposition to be reactive. So LSI, ESI, SLE, SEE, IE, ILE, maybe you could make that argument. Which is better, Ichazo or Naranjo? Where they're different. Naranjo's for the clinical use of a typology. If you like typology as almost like a very psychologically grounded, in that sense, a tool, you should use Naranjo. Ichazo is more as a spiritual growth. I like Ichazo because he doesn't go as in depth, but he has a general idea of the types. They're not as detail oriented and specific, which can be nicer for many people. Besides, there's Trifix, which is honestly a big thing. Honestly, it's a big thing. I just use both. I use Ichazo for Trifixes, and I use typing for Naranjo's work. Rust, hello Theo. When are the Enneagram courses coming out? So good thing you asked. They're going. I finished 9 types. 9 types are finished officially, the main types, but now I'm working on the subtypes. So with each main type, you're gonna get a subtype breakdown. It's going good. I've made social 1, I made sexual 1, but it's so much fucking work, and it's very tedious work. I have a docu. I have made a document, and it's like 50 pages long. It's not that it's somewhat organized on a basic level, so I can like be able to make a video from it, but that shit's still not fucking organized. But it's tedious. It's tedious work, and I feel like if you are someone who wants to have a full idea of typology overall, it's gonna be useful. But if you are a geek, like a super nerd on Enneagram, and you study every book, I just feel like, it's kind of like what would you be gaining from that? Because the purpose of the course is to be basically everything that a beginner needs to know with the script, everything, right? So it's nicely organized information, but an expert, one might say, doesn't need that shit. So that's kind of my take on the course. Obviously I'm going to be marketing it to people who are trying to understand it fully and all of the types. But if you're really, really, really into typology, I don't believe you're going to read it and be like, holy shit, I didn't know that. It's more like, oh wow, now I see this organized kind of information I can just easily access. That could almost work as a easily accessible information, because we don't have that. You have some documents people have made, link trees, but that's not the same. You don't have an actual course made where you can pick and choose any information, which is good, right? Mike Davis, what would you type, Elliot, from Mr. Robot? SP5 is not bad. I used to type in Social 5. Do you know Mr. Robot Ring?
I do, and I had that same problem.
Yeah,
This
I
motherfucker
used to type
SP5 or
Social
Social
5.
5? Like it's easy, of course. He's so fixated on like the wider
Yeah.
world and but he doesn't really outside of that, does he really fit Social 5? Is he trying to have that same sort of image identity perspective, or is it coming more from a place of survival? And now I feel like now that I understand both types more, I'm also leaning SP5. And I kind of like that he's such a Sigma SP5 because most people think that they don't do shit.
Yeah,
So
but
I'm down with SP5.
Totem of Knowledge, does that even fit him, I mean, this guy is just kind of he's not really about that kind of shit.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I said totem of knowledge doesn't really fit him anyway. Like trying to
No,
be a
it
beacon of.
doesn't. It doesn't, you
Yeah.
know? Like, you could try to make the argument that he's like so socially neurotically fixated, but really I actually think that he's more survival fixated. I think he's actually more SP.
Makes sense. Makes sense. What function and systemic stuff annoys us the most when we see someone using it in a way we don't agree with? That could be the role, right?
Yes, I
And
was gonna say that I had this exact scenario. My
yeah,
I have a sibling who's an ESE. I'm LIE, and we do this to each other, superego types. I always fuck up with FE and SI. I'm always like, this is how this should be, and she wants to take her own unique creative approach on doing so. And I tell her, we're gonna do this at this time, and this is how this should be done. And she's gonna tell me exactly how everyone else does said thing, and when everyone else does the thing on that time. And it's just we kind of like mutually fucking do super ego violence. So I would say the super ego is where that problem comes from.
yeah,
So
and
role
this,
and vulnerable.
yeah, role especially too can be very be like,
Yeah.
why is this person using it however they want? And like a TI role, like you have a system, you have to obey by the system, but then there's like a TI ego being like, fuck the system and like playing with it. It's like, bro, it's traumatic, for the super ego.
Yeah. Oh my
What type
God.
is Chris Chan? Social 2. I don't know why Chris Chan would be so. Isn't who's Chris Chan?
He's some like internet like
Isn't he like some
degen.
weirdo, the fat weirdo or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys should not waste time typing such brain dead people. I don't think it's good for you guys. What do you think of Social 2 VFLE? I'm open to it. Listen, man. I'm open to it. You know? Why not? Fuck it. New correlations. Yay. Oh my god, I hope you remember me. I do remember you. Of course, we do remember you. Don't we, Rain? Do you remember Robin?
Uh
Probably shit. He's like, now you put me on the spot. I don't remember her. And that's fine. He doesn't need to remember you. That's because we have like 50 billion different users, which we actually don't. So that's really fucked. But don't worry. I'm going to save you by skimming. How different is the savior complex manifestation between social 7 and social 2? That's on you, Rain. You need to answer this one.
ooh.
But not like
Okay.
15-minute run.
Gotcha.
Just like 3 minutes, 2 minutes. Let's
What are
keep
you,
it to
why are you rushing?
not
It's
rushing
about
it,
the
but no,
process.
it's
Why are you
because
so
I believe that
results?
you can do it in like 2 minutes rather than 15. Literally, I just believe in your ability to
But sometimes I like to
synthesize
talk
information
about
as
it.
quick as possible.
All right. Let's do it. First, for the sake of time, okay? So the social seven, their savior complex comes from their childhood relationship with their mother, where their mother they perceived as a victim to their father, in which they had to save their mother. And now they replicate that relationship with everyone. And they think that every time someone says nice things about them or like gives them positive regard in the way they see it, where they quote unquote save them, they confuse that with the love that their mother provided to them when they were like, became their mother's parent practically as a child. The social to savior complex comes from being inferiorized by their father. Um, or whomever else was like, their big daddy Dom could be their mother or their father or whatever, right? Um, and the social two instead wants to become everyone's father
And
and
that's
wants
weird.
to
That's
yeah
weird.
the reason
That's weird.
is that since their parents, generally their father, inferiorized them, they decide they're just going to be their own father, and not just their own father, everyone's father, and then they become the all father, and that because of that they're this paternal figure that's going to save everyone because they're the most responsible, most capable, so they should save everyone. So social sevens come out of it like they think there's some sort of protagonist, right? That they're gonna do the right thing and they're gonna fix everyone's problems. Social twos do it because they feel like entitled, because they were inferiorized as a child. And so now they've just taken on the role because they were denied a childhood. They took on the role of a parent. Seems actually kind of similar to the E8. Now thinking about it, it has that connection. Oh, by the way, Russ, I just remember reading Sexual 7 the other day. This is going to be interesting for you. People were asking, is integration and disintegration still important or in Naranjo Enneagram, okay? And I have an answer to that. It fucking absolutely does. I had multiple references in the books where they talk about integration disintegration. They don't call it that. They just say that, oh, the E7 has a connection to E1. So a lot of
Oh,
E1s will be
right.
moralizers. That's literally said in the books. They absolutely integration disintegration in Naranjo Enneagram is a thing. They consider it. Point blank.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Point blank.
Okay. See? You did it. You did it. Effectively, too. Rust, what do you score on openness? I feel like it's a very dependent question because you need to specify, okay, which system are we using? Because there's different systems within Big Five. Neo, right? All of the different scales. But when I was doing BFAS, it was more than 40. It was maybe 50 plus. That's how much I score on openness. But it was it was inquisitive over non-curious. That's how the scale was. Not by much, but it was, right? Now with agreeableness, it was obviously below. Although it's weird. My agreeableness is super weird, because it's strange, because I can score. I don't like lying and cheating and scamming and all of that shit, I believe you should kind of try to approach people in a transparent way, not play manipulative games with them, So that obviously raises my score. It's hard to say, but I always thought low agreeableness, but probably something more in the middle or a bit lower or something like that. That's fine, I think it's fine. Yeah, that's my take. Thank you, Ring. See, Ring is getting glazed now. That's good. Scorpion Sub-Zero. Why is Enneagram 1 for who is at all times claiming something is evil and they would never do that? Always FI unconscious type. Asks Scorpion. Do you have an answer for this? Because I don't. But I don't have an answer. I don't mind saying I fucking don't have an answer. He's thinking. So give him time to think.
Wait. I totally zoned out.
Oh my
Was
God.
I asked a question?
Holy shit. Yes, he was.
Why
Look at the chat.
E1 core?
Look at
Okay.
the chat.
Okay, why E1 core is all the time claiming something is evil and they would never do that. Always an FI unconscious type. Because morality is not just FI. Like this is it's this is a problem. I think it really does stem from just socionics. This is like a very big socionics problem that I try to explain to people. Our reality is made up of multiple different elements almost all the time. Like people think like driving a car, that's just TE, right? No, driving a car is so much more complex than that.
It's multiple elements. Yeah.
Like you have to, sure, know how to drive it. You need SE to own it. You need SI to be in it comfortably. You need NI to make sure you get the places on time. You need to you use so much of your elements that sometimes it doesn't even make sense to say, oh, morality is FI, systems it's more complex than that for sure.
Principles, right? Principles. What is correct?
Principles,
besides
yeah.
That, one
and it makes
focus on correctness anyway. To be honest,
and it's more exactly. And of course, we already talked about. Now I'm going to give you like the simple basic answer. SES made a really good article, and I use SES in particular here, not just classic socionics, but School of Classic Socionics made a good article explaining why TE rules are actually just simply TE, and the relationship between rules and people is TI. So it makes a good point that logical types not only would care about morality and the rules and principles behind morality because it's logic based, they're also logical types in general are sensitive towards ethics and can be a bit radical about them because they want to do it well and they know it's a weak point to them, just like how ethical types are very radical and specific with logic. And when I say ethics here, oh, because that's morality, no, I'm saying ethics as in they know that rules affect people. They know that, how things are done, how things should be done affect other people, and they want to make sure that it's done in a way that's honoring how they relate to people and overall people's emotions and moods. So reality is that you can't just say FI is morality because that's not true. It's more complex than that. So
Hmm.
yeah, and what Russ here was saying too about just correctness, effectiveness, actions.
Yeah.
E1 is
People
very much
forget that.
about
People
that.
just think shit, it's being moralistic. No, no, that's not what. That's not all it
Yeah.
is. Things being correct, things being right, and when we say right, that doesn't mean it's about like I think you're bad. It might not be really about that, you know. Which introverted ethical type? Seguro Ghetto? I don't watch. I don't watch that. You know, so hard to say. Which introverted and ethical type could be mistaken for social seven? Spread the image of goodness. Ring. What's your type? So you should be an expert.
Yeah, Social 9. I can easily say that to you guys. Social 9 is a good example of an introvert and ethical type that could be mistaken for a social 7 and spread the image of goodness, for sure.
There you
That's
go.
probably a lot more, to be honest. But if you want it like close to theory as possible, people the authors describe how Social 9 and Social 7 can seem very similar, same way as
But
SP3
maybe
and
they mean like a
SP4.
socionics type though,
Oh, which
because
introverted and ethical
introverted and
type?
ethical. Although no,
Introverted
maybe they
ethical?
mean nah. Maybe they mean the Enneagram.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Fumi, if you can just send us back this question, we'll take care of it for you. Just be a little bit more precise.
I feel like people don't understand the big five. Many PDB voters vote things, people, characters they like. People don't understand big five like they don't understand temperaments. And that's not, I don't blame people for, to be honest, it's not a big sin because temperaments also, we don't have that good sources for temperament. So it makes sense why many people don't have any fucking idea about temperament, you know? It happens to the best. It really happens to people who are even in typology. It's just hard. With Big Five, it's also that way. You know, most people they're not interested in Big Five. Too scientifically accepted, right? It's too legend. But people have no fucking idea it's true. You know, they see someone, okay, he's yelling, fuck it, neuroticism 50% or 100%. You know, because he's angry and he's yelling. It's like yes, but there are like 5 other facets in the fucking neuroticism bracket, right? So what the fuck? But it happens, you know. Maybe over time, Big Five is gonna be more famous, but that you need people to keep on pushing it. You know, if I started making Big Five content, maybe, and I would keep pushing the content and maybe talk about it a lot more on PDB, maybe that would make more people interested in it to learn and to get better. But in the state that we have now, it's not looking too good. Which Enneagram subtype would you say is the worst and the best childhood relationship with their parent? Ring, what you think?
It's this question kind of has like a bad premise because you're kind of comparing experiences. In general, the SP and the SX types are pretty bad because the SP types were almost like on the poverty line and were gonna die in their childhood and no one protected them. The SX, they were like objectified. They were made like, hyper aware of their like body in ways that children should not be shown as. A lot of weird like boundary issues. And then social types, they're just usually like having a weird place in the family. I think in general, you can say social types had a better childhood, but that's just like a bad, unfortunately, a bad question. Not, I don't blame you for that question, but it's just you start comparing people's experiences, and that's not like a mathematical thing you can really do.
Yep. Okay. Let's keep going forward. How can you distinguish melancholy from ego planning? Both look at a better future where they can find something better. Uh, but wouldn't melancholy actually just constantly be in touch with the dissatisfaction and dwell on it to the point where they might feel without that they're not special? they're ordinary. So they're clinging to it. They're dwelling in the dissatisfaction, the sensation of lacking. And that's what creates the cycle. Yes, I don't deserve those things. Yes, it is true, it's shit. And maybe I am shit, that's why. Oh my god, weep, 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 weep. And that's what happens. 7 core shouldn't be that way. They're avoiding that shit, I feel like both the 4 and 7 cannot deal with that dissatisfaction. It's like they always feel like it's not enough. Yes, but the 7 deals with this by distorting realities into something more fun, something more pleasant, something less boring, right? Something more exciting. So the 7 actively engages and distorts things, reframe things in a way that helps them cope with it. The 4, they don't do that. Fucking shit, they do the opposite. That's my take. Ring, did I do this shit correctly here?
Yeah, you're good. Right? You're good. I won't add nothing to it.
Holy shit, that's what I'm saying. Question for both Ross and Ring. In which phase of transformation are you guys in? What did you struggle with the most in terms of your transformation? What do you want to work on the next?
Fun question.
Do you want me to start, or do you want?
You can start.
Fuck, it's such a hard question, like he said, because in the transformation is like, how do I know how far I am or where I am really? There's no true sources that will tell you the exact stage, but so it's not simple. But I would say if we're looking at a scale, it's above average, probably a bit above average. But today something happened, and it's not that dramatic, but I was kind of having a situation because someone gave a scenario about a person, and this created a conversation, and I was kind of talking about it with my wife, because our opinions were different on this matter, right? It was about someone else, but our opinions were different. Her opinions seemed to be balanced, and from what I was struggling with is, it was basically a situation where someone was acting in a manipulative way, like acting in a kind of doing things to themselves, harming themselves in a way where they wanted to evoke, imagine a person who, those people who you are in a relationship with them, and by you want to leave, and they start harming themselves or threatening you, because if you leave them, they're gonna they cannot sleep, they'll starve themselves. That's kind of the context of the discussion. But not in an intimate relationship, but in a friendship group. And I thought to myself, this is an attempt at manipulation. So that's how I saw it. And I mean, it is, right? And yes, the person was struggling mentally, and they had mental difficulties and issues. But in my mind, it was like, I don't give a fuck what you have, what issues you have. I don't care what happened to you as a kid either. The point is, you try to manipulate someone else in some indirect way by, I'll be a victim, and hopefully they're gonna get me back and still be mates with me and be my friend, by playing this stupid game. So that pissed me off. Now, the biggest issue with this problem is that my wife thought that it's more healthy to approach it from a situation where, okay, I can acknowledge that someone is doing those things, and I can just move away. Right? You just move away. I don't want to be friends with this person because they're doing that. I move away. And that's a more healthy. But to me, I basically thought this person is if something bad happens to this person, it's okay. That's what I was thinking. In my mind, if once you start asserting yourself on others, you start abusing others, you start to manipulate them, I feel like it's okay to fuck you up. I think it's completely reasonable if someone comes and gives you PTSD. And I don't feel any sympathy. I don't have any sympathy for that. I don't give a fuck, right? And this is a very extreme, I feel like, mindset that I do need to work on. That's a particular thing. It's like, just because someone is bad, or someone does something that's bad that evokes this sensation in you, that doesn't automatically mean, okay, now I can just completely be sadistic with them. And I can just, oh my God, I can, now it's okay to hurt them. Now it's okay to harm them really badly. And it's like, I feel like at the end of the conversation, I learned it's healthier to say, you know what? It's not okay that what they're doing, they're manipulating, they're playing those weird games with others. But I hope that they will recover. I hope that they will be better. So showing empathy, and it's so hard for me because I don't give a fuck about where is this person coming from. If someone approaches me with hostility, I don't care if they had a bad day. The point is that they crossed the line and now they're gonna be held responsible, you know? And that's why empathy is important. It's like I need to learn, consider the circumstance of the other person. And that's difficult because if someone hurts you or hurts someone else or whoever, why should you care about their circumstance? They should be hurt back. That's kind of, I'm going on a ramble, but that's the biggest problem for me. It's hard to have empathy sometimes for people when they cross a certain line, and I just don't care why, what's the reason. If you cross that line, I think it's justified. If something happens, that's kind of how it is. I know it's coming from an unhealthy place, probably my own struggles, but that's my own take. The Ring, you can take the fucking reins.
Yeah. Hmm. I think I think that the it's really interesting because I'm gonna break this down to you all in like two ways, two things I want to talk about that I'm struggling with. The the first thing I'm struggling with is a very simple E7 problem where just yesterday I was talking to my girlfriend and I was telling her that I can't wait to go to a rave again. I can't wait to go to a festival again. I went to Tomorrowland last year, and that was really fun. And I start describing to her in vivid details why it was so much fun. There was lights, and there was fireworks, and then there was great music, and the vibes were really good, and everyone was just so happy. And we were drunk and messed up, but it was just like for hours of just dancing and just having a good time and great food and great people and just it was like the bright lights and just seeing everyone. It was just a really great time. And I'm just like
Everyone, it was just
enticing her. I'm telling her to do this because I really want her to come with me next time we go to like a rave or a festival. And in that moment, I was like selling her this dream, this fantasy of going to this place with me and having that good time with me. Really typical self-indulgence type of thing because I want to go, right? Um, but I was thinking about it, and of course I asked her. She knows I want her to come with me, but I realized that in the moment where I was there last year, where I was experiencing those things, I didn't feel like I was really there, which is kind of weird because I'm able to describe what happened, and I was definitely having a good time. But when I was there, I wasn't able to really connect being there. Like it was hard on me. Like music was hard for me to get into. The people I felt socially awkward talking to. I was definitely still once again having a good time, but there was a lot of things like boundaries and obstacles and things in the way that hindered my ability to just sit there and just connect with what was going around me. That I would start thinking about other things, like other vacations or things that were coming up that would be interesting. That was easier for me to connect with. And it's coming to this realization that I'm able to sell her the fantasy of going to this place with me the same way I'm able to sell myself the fantasy of going to this place. And that's my problem, right? My problem is that I can enjoy the idea of something more than actually doing anything. And I don't know how to enjoy anything that I'm actually there. So that's something that I'm doing. That's one. That fantasy is so much more pleasurable to me than anything actually existing in the real world. The second thing is actually conflict. And people might think conflict is like, for social sevens have a hard time with conflict. But it's not simply just conflict. It's not, oh, I can't express my opinions and my feelings towards people. I don't want to get into fights with people, you know? Yeah, I don't want to get fucking punched in the face. Everyone doesn't. But I realize it's not just about conflict. It's deeper than that. It's deeper than the conflict. I can't allow myself to lose control over my life and my person to the point that I'm like going to go against my core values. that being in conflict with someone means that I wasn't able to live up to my expectations I have for myself of being able to never hurt other people or be in a place where I'm like looking down at someone or being like an asshole to somebody and just being a piece of shit, you know? Even if people deserve it. It's to me, I have this utopian mindset that I would never stoop to that level, that I'm above all that. So I'm dealing with conflict. I'm trying to actually engage in more conflict, even though I don't want to, because it's almost like finally letting go of like control over my like very, very hardcore control over my life. So I want to engage in conflict because it's almost like letting go of these expectations that I have to be a certain way. So those are the two things. It's letting go of my expectations and my ideals of how I should live my life, and then trying to really connect with the current moment instead of idealizing and fantasizing for another place and another time. Those are two things I'm working on.
And you always, I did expect that you were gonna say this, to be honest. You know,
Hmm.
because the idea of something is always more exciting than actually doing it. And my advice to you, I remember, was you need to be in the moment. You need to actually
Yeah.
enjoy the process for what it is rather than just constantly make it into something bigger and bigger. Oh my God, we're going to do this next, this next. There's no next. There's just now. There's
There's
just
just
fucking
now.
now, you know? And that's the thing. But yeah, that was a, we went, we yapped. SP8 likes to achieve goals, does not see admiration. They just want to do, they just want to know objectively in their mind that they are better. Is this stereotypical? I don't think it's stereotypical, and I don't think that they're driven by the need to know that they're better. They're not driven by that. Now, can they enjoy that? Sure, yeah. You know, they can enjoy being better than others. But is they're driven by that? Nah. But I don't think it's a stereotype. I don't think so. Hey, whatever happened to your old YouTube shorts from years ago? Did they get deleted? You had some really good shorts. Yes. So the shorts, I really did enjoy them too. And I thought they were of high value. But the thing is, when you make such shorts, right, on YouTube, it will count as reused content, basically. It's not original. You're just literally taking a scene from a movie and pasting shit on it. It doesn't count. It's reused. So you will lose monetization. They will decapitate your monetization. So that's what happened. I got demonetized for that for 3 months and deleted all of the shorts, you know. So yeah, that's just how the unfortunate thing it is. How do I know if I was an SP4? They are both relatable. Guys, so I'm reading the fucking chat, right? And I swear to you, most of you fuckers will get decapitated today. Cause let me see something. Let me read fucking back. I wanna see something. Let me get, if I'm not fucking misunderstanding what the fuck I'm seeing here. 2 deleted comments by Paul. Paul, you are on fucking thin ice. One more stupid shit you will fucking say, you are getting decapitated. One more fucking dumb shit you say, and every other troll in this fucking chat is gonna get decapitated. What is this shit? Like, what the fuck is this shit? You guys come in here, people wanna fucking actually ask questions, be part of the fucking stream, and you saying silly shit. I thought you were done with this shit. You know? I'm not talking about cringe nightmare, by the way. But curiosity, what the fuck? Who the fuck are you? Who the fuck is this other guy, no name a motherfucker? Who the fuck are those people? Again, correct your fucking self, or it's decapitation on sight. Fucking consider this literally fucking lucky, dude. Literally fucking lucky. Paul, how the fuck can I tell you something multiple times and you still try to be fucking smart? You're a troll. Should I treat you like a troll? I can do that. We'll see how trolls are treated, you know? Anyway, now let's actually get back on the fucking topic. Stop being cunts. Thank you. Thank you everyone in the chat. Do you think the guy at school who takes all the girls relates more to the sexual 7? Why are you not mentioning the sexual 2 or the sexual 3? Those, many of them are like the sigmas. The average 8 core is not that popular in school, to be honest. You know, they're not some Don Juan who goes around taking chicks. I mean, sexual 7 is a better choice for that than a sexual 2 or any 2 core, to be honest with you. If it's said that capitalism is the quadra of gamma, what would China be? I don't care, because I'm supposed to be this gamma quadra. I'm anti-capitalism. Fuck capitalism. It's shit. I don't care about those quadras. Get fucking Western socionics quadras. Fucking fuck all that.
Fucking those Harry Potter houses everyone loves.
Yeah, it's
in
like,
Western.
yeah, I'm supposed to be this a person who's super obsessed about money, and like I love money all about, like, it's bullshit, man. It's so stupid. That's why I'm glad I went from Western socionics. Can you explain SE polar besides the sensitivity of appearance? What do you think, Rain? Can you do that for me?
Can you explain the SE vulnerable besides the sensitivity of appearance? Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. Oh my God, I have such a good example. My best friend is an EII social for ELVF. And I'll tell you what. I'm gonna say what because I feel really American today. I'll tell you what. Um, you tell this guy, he cannot do anything in particular, right? You tell him that, oh, you don't have the energy to do this, the will to do this, the whatever, some sort of like SC check him, right? He will explain to you in many different ways how much capabilities he has to do said thing, and he'll never talk exactly about, oh, the will that goes behind it, but it'll always be like, okay, you can't do this. Well, actually, you need to do this. Well, you don't have the energy to do this. It's like, oh, well, I can do this. I have the capability to do this. I know how this is supposed to be done. This is not a problem for me. Like he ensures that he has the qualities, the innate qualities in his personality, his physical traits to be able to accomplish set tasks. So I would say that for most for SE Polar, right, you're always going to have that nice any creative, right? You're going to see a person who does struggle with willpower, energy, right? Not as much as like SE suggested what I've noticed, but definitely that is a problem for them. So they generally try to make it up by showing them that they have higher capabilities than one might anticipate by giving any. It's actually very similar to explaining SE role and then any base situation. We have a couple of friends that are any base, right, Russ, where we have like situation where it's like, oh, you don't have the willpower to be able to push through and actually actualize that thing, or you don't have the strength, in that way. And then they're like, yes, I have these capabilities, I have all these things,
Yeah,
even though they probably won't actually do it, but they have to ensure that those things
they will
could be
keep
done.
on talking about how they have it. They're not doing it. It's like, just stop the cap, stop the
very
cap.
very similar. My EII and my IEE friend react when you tell them they don't have the energy, the will, the determination to be able to do something. They'll just explain to you how much capabilities that they have instead.
Yes, sir. That's a good. Wait. People are asking my question. What was your question? Well, Paul, you said you now you're trying to fuck with me. You if I remember correctly, you did what did you say? You said you thought the messages were pointless. Didn't you mention? I thought you mentioned my wife in the messages, and I thought you said she's an SPA or something, and how you feel sorry for them or some bullshit like that. Is that true? Like, help me understand the situation, because I saw the two removed messages. That's what I thought that was. So, how do I ask it? Just write it down, and hopefully we will fucking get back to you. It's just you guys need to be. Wow, there's so much. That's okay. That's okay though. Let me clear this chat. Let me see. Let me see. Are you saying this trolling is for this stream or for all streams? Okay. Okay. Well, Mr. Troll, you are officially decapitated. Okay, that's done. So let's see who the fuck's next gonna get decapitated. People trying to act smart. Why would you act smart, you 7-core dumb motherfucker? You think this is a fucking game? You're gonna come to a stream, act smart, be the passive aggressive bitch that you are, right? I'm just gonna say something. It's gonna be on the down low though. No one's gonna see you. It'll be fine. Fucking dumbass. Not on this stream, guys. We don't allow that shit. Have barely trolled. Yeah, okay, Paul. Sure. Rain, what do you think about the state of the chat right now? What's going through your head?
You know what? I don't know what it is, but you always manage to get the questions out of the chat. Sometimes when I see my name, I'll look at it, but I genuinely don't look at the chat. I in my mind, it's delegated to you.
Well, it is delegate because I'm the one responsible for making sure the questions pop up, you know. But it's chaotic. The chat is chaotic. That's all I can tell you. Thoughts on Taylor Swift? I know she's an ESC. Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift.
Why not E2? I don't know much about her, but are we
SP2,
sure
right?
she's not
SP2?
SP2? Like, no, I'm not sure. I have not researched. You know, I feel like there might be Swifties in here, but are we sure she's not an E2? She kind of vibes a little E2, but these are vibes, you know.
The problem with the ESC, sometimes I can't even tell. I cannot tell the difference between the Sexual 3 and the SP2.
Right? They're sure it's not SP2. All right. I don't care about Taylor Swift, so I'm gonna go with it.
I don't think SP2. Guys, we'll go back to my comment. Giovanni. Okay, Giovanni, I'm gonna try to look for your comment. Giovanni, man, I feel like shit, man. This is like a lost cause or something. Oh shit. I feel like I found you. If EII is the dual of an LSC and the PY archetypes of both are ELFV and VFLE, ELFV should be correlation, should be a, or FVELE should. But are you saying that it should be the correlation? That FVLE should be a correlation for the LSC? Because it is. It is already. Like many people accept it already. So, you know. Now ELFV. ELFV. What do you think of ELFV, Rang?
ELFV. To me, for such a fucking long time, I would say that like if you forgot every Enneagram, I would say that FV and like EII went together like really fucking well. Got the 1E works really well with the FI base. You got the 3F, which is really great for SE polar, SE polar, SI polar. I really like that for those types. 2L is fine in this case because it is subordinated to the 1E, and I'd see that works really well. And 4V, why not? You know, because generally it's a low energy type. But getting to know my best friend a little bit more, understanding what drives him, he actually would better off fit. And in PY, you have to do volition first. He would fit third volition over fourth volition like 9 times out of 10. And I think most EIIs will fit third volition over fourth volition a lot. And it makes sense because roll TI has that very strong, like, hierarchical type of I need to have a good position in a system type vibes. At minimum, 2V, 3V seems to fit better than 4V for roll TI, is my perspective currently. Now, and I also noticed that because of SI being in the id block, 4F actually works decently with EIIs. For a long time, I thought my best friend was 3F, and that's why he has like issues with how he looks, and he always has dysfunctions with like his needs. But I realized that a lot of that was insecurity from 3V, and then it was also the 4F for the lethargy when it comes to self-care. SI being in the id makes a lot of sense for lethargy when it comes to self-care. It's an expectation that other people are going to provide that type of desire. And EL works completely fine. I think sometimes EIIs come across like they're 1L, LE. But LE doesn't feel as great archetypically for me for EII as much as EL does. I think 1E makes a lot of sense. I think that the 2L becomes more like it feels more aggressive, it feels more 1L like because of the 3V. So I would say that ELVF fits EII very, very well. That's my perspective.
How to know if I was an SP4 or social 6 while being P4 in Ichazo? They have asked this question 3 times. What do you think, Ray?
All right, chat. Chat, the answer to this
is
the answer.
School them.
Hashtag get this tattooed. Hashtag Enneagram fundamentalism. Enneagram fundamentalism. And SP4 and the social 6 have superficial commonalities with maybe work performance or disposition, maybe. But we're talking about an E4 versus an E6. So compare that. You're talking about a conservation instinct compared to a social instinct. So compare that. We're talking about an image triad with a mental triad. So compare that. We're also considering that there's 2 different neuroses here. Chapter 2s, everyone, for that. The neurotic mechanisms of the SP4 and the social 6 are so different. The only things that you can see is in common is that these generally belong to introverts that generally work hard, that generally want to belong. So I would just take a step back and go through all the checklists of Enneagram fundamentalism and really empower yourself to make that decision on your own. Because you have all at your disposal. Everyone here in the chat does. And hashtag Enneagram fundamentalism. Have that shit fucking tattooed.
And he drops knowledge for free. You guys not getting paid for this?
Nope. And I refused it, to be honest. I got offered money the other day. Like, people try like, can I give you a dono? I'm like, no. You start paying me for this?
But don't know for what? Don't know for what?
They just said that, oh, is money a motivator for you? If so, I don't have a lot of money, but I'd like to pay.
Holy shit.
Pay to motivate you. And I was just like, do not pay me to do this because I will lose all my motivation. Y'all heard about that that psychological theory, right? It's not much of a theory that if you get paid to do what you love, you end up losing that feeling.
I've heard of this actually. Yeah, I've heard many
Hmm.
people talk about that.
Yeah, I don't want to be paid to do this. I don't want to be paid. Maybe if I make a book and it costs me money, I would like to get my money back that I invested into it, potentially. But I'm not trying to get rich off of fucking typology. I'll be honest. This is just almost community service to me, to be honest.
Most planning subtype. That's a 7 though. Is it the social 7? Is social 7 the most planning?
Oh, the way they
Although plan
explained
and
it,
prepare.
they gave us more context.
Mm.
He's explaining more of an E1, E3
No, plan and
situation. And
prepare. Prepare for
yeah,
things.
plan and prepare.
Oh,
E7s,
okay.
E7s project and fantasize. They don't plan to prepare. Even E6s feel like they
Yeah, it's.
plan to prepare
Can I
better.
imagine you just making sure everything's prepared? Preparation is the most important. That's why I plan. That's not the concern of a 7. They plan, but more exciting shit. Oh shit! This is gonna be cool. Not planning and preparing in that sense. Not in the traditional sense of planning. It's been since 7 plans are like weekend plans. Oh my god, that's you really you really simplified that one.
Oh
But
my God.
they're just weekend plans, bro. Like
E7s plan so they don't have to prepare. This is the craziest part. E7s project, they transpose themselves into the future because they don't want to do anything right now. Why do I have to do all this? We're all just gonna die anyway, you know? In a couple of years, I won't even have to deal with this. Oh, I wanna fucking go on this trip, but if I just wait a little bit, I think that I'm just gonna get a bonus, so I don't have to do overtime at work, and then I don't have to do work. This is not a plan and prepare type. This is a plan so I can just sit back and not have to think about doing anything right now. I can be in this permanent state of anticipating a good future. And this also connects because it's so similar to LIE. It's so similar to LIE that people don't get it. LIEs don't plan and prep, necessarily just to make money. That's more Western socionics. They don't plan and prep to avoid bad outcomes. They can do that. It is necessarily don't. LIEs plan. They project themselves into the future. They use their NI, their NE, their GigaChat TE, so they don't have to be in mundane, uncomfortable situations where their body has to suffer and the people around them are unhappy. So they plan and project to anticipate ways so they don't have to hurt themselves in their body. They're not LSCs that who are willing to put everything on the line to have bad outcomes not happen. They're already most LIEs assume things are going to be good. And they have to, because if they weren't going to be good, that means they have to work really hard. Same with E7s, they have to put everything on the line right now. And most LIEs and E7s don't want to do that. So it's really interesting.
Ring, why do you yap so much? People asking.
It's interesting because when Theo says that, it's almost like a dissatisfaction in the
Yeah,
way that the podcast is going. But then you have to ask the logical question: why do you come here every week to hear me talk?
because you love when he yaps in your ear. You find it like that's the thing. You love him. You love him deeply, and you like to hear his yapping voice. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if you record his shit, put it, and then sleep with it. Just so you can hear him explain complex concepts in a very effective way. The power of Enneagram 7 seduction. Where's Cringe, by the way? There's this guy, Cringe Town. Where'd they go? I know I said decapitate the trolls, but I didn't say I'm gonna decapitate him. In fact, I say not him, even though he's going around claiming, like yelling, sexual one, sexual one. That's fine. I didn't say I'm gonna decapitate you. It's okay, bro. It's all good. Oh shit. You are sexual one. I mean, listen. Wait, are you typing me or are you typing my channel? Like my channel and like what you like me talking about that. Like what are you? Because that's actually a very important question. You know, are you typing the channel? Are you trying to type me? Like that's an important question. Yeah, Bruce said well. Ring has a channel. Ring does not have a channel. This is his channel. This podcast is his channel.
Man, holding a YouTube channel is so much fucking
It
work.
is
Yeah,
work.
I would. It feels like
It is work.
prison.
Yeah.
Like I think about the shit that Russ does to keep this all afloat. It honestly feels like a jail sentence to me. And I know I'm being dramatic about it, but that's how my life feels like sometimes. And that's what I'm afraid of. To do something and it feels like it's jail. I've been just trying to escape that feeling my whole life. So just to give you a little bit of a POV of being me.
Check PDD. I did check and I skimmed it and I wasn't sure if you're trolling or it's I can't tell because your reasoning was basically I think I'm energetic and I correct people and you said I'm perfectionistic and a workaholic. Like you came up with those terms. But like maybe it's for fun. Unironically, it's honestly sexual one. That's not like the worst take ever. You know, it's better than many of the other people who are brain dead try to type me. It's not bad, um, but it has its flaws. The LSC typing is very hard to accept. A dynamic type, so a very wait and see type, methodical, measured movements, measured actions. That doesn't really sound like me, you know. So me talking about what I like, what I don't like, who someone should be, if someone's trustworthy, if someone's not trustworthy, who they are on the inside, their character, their internal qualities. That's NE, that's FI. That's a lot of static elements being mentioned every stream. That's a static type, you know? But I don't know if you're serious. If you're not serious, I like it. I always wanted to be a sexual one, so I'm gonna take it. I'll take that shit as a compliment. So me and my father can be the same type. It's gonna be pretty awesome. Okay, let's keep going. Ring Yapane Smas S tier. What would you type Donnie Darko? People type him sexual 5. I personally never watched the movie. Have you watched the movie Ring?
I have sexual 5.
I've seen sexual 5. Very common take.
Very common take. I might have to rewatch it because I have no good sexual 5 examples anymore. I don't like any of them. I always thought he was like an SP5, but you know what? I'm fucking down. I'll rewatch it. I'll let y'all know what I think.
Wow. Dedication. Dedication. Ableism is a big problem, but people only care about other forms of discrimination. Well, Paul, I do hope you mean that. You know, Paul? I hope you mean that, Paul. I hope you mean that. I hope you mean that. Is it possible to master all functions? All 8 functions? We have a bad way of looking at this. It's not about mastering or being bad at the functions. Change the mentality. You're not bad at the functions. You have a certain relationship with them. Okay? Maybe you adhere to the societal expectations of that element. That doesn't mean you cannot gain more information within that element, but at the end of the day, you're not creating anything new yourself. It's not creative. You're following what's accepted, right? So there's no mastering of anything. You cannot master it. For example, if you're FI polar, you can maybe learn about FI matters. You can have more FI information, how to act in that situation. But something new pops out, you will not know what to do. You will not know how to handle the situation in a very flexible, creative way. Same with TI vulnerable. You know, if you're TI vulnerable, that doesn't mean you. Some people in Western think, oh, it means you are TI blind, you have no TI. That's the opposite. You can have a lot of TI information, but you're not really creating anything on your own in it that is new, that's original, that's really going outside of the norms of logic, you know? So that's really a better way of looking at it, I would think. Bro, you didn't answer me about which subtype. Yeah, Yami, was just a million questions, you know? Maybe be a bit more patient. Come on, man. Be a bit more understanding. Okay, I get it, but what's the subtype then? I would say SP1. I would put SP1 as the most planning. Why? Conservation subtype +1. Holy fuck.
Yeah, wait. We did give you subtypes. I said SP1 and SP3.
Okay, so Yami, you kinda slipping. You kinda slipping. But there you go. My grandfather doesn't like science fiction movies and all imaginal stuff in general. I also think he fits. This doesn't mean anything. This doesn't mean anything. I mean, it says something about his big five. He has low openness to experience, sure, right? Doesn't like science fiction, anything that's not real. Okay. But does that mean he must be an SI base? No. So just based on that, we cannot say which SI base he is, or even if he is an SI base. You know? More like the power of the yap, not the power of friendship. The power of the yap. That's your motto, Ring. But the power of yap.
Yo, we should sell that as a shirt.
Do you think Enneagram 8 can be autistic? You type Hassan as Enneagram 8 and he is often called autistic. I feel like being called autistic is very different than having genuine autism. You know, so unless Hassan has genuine autism that's diagnosed and it's certain that he is neurodivergent in that way, sure, we can kind of talk about that. But just because someone is called autistic, who calls him autistic? Like, we're talking about people on Reddit. You know, I mean, have you seen the kinds of people that are in the political sphere? I wouldn't take what the fuck they think is anything valuable, you know? They call everyone else autistic anyway. Now, can Enneagram 8 have autism? Can they have like a neurodivergence? Yes, sure they can have neurodivergence. Sure they can have neurodivergence. You know? I used to think, nah, that's weird. Wouldn't that be weird? But that's because I didn't understand autism and its different manifestations. I think you can be an SPA with autism, not the fucking weird. Unironically. Normal shit. What do you think people type, or what do you think people type in Sexual 6? Have you ever considered it? Cringe, okay, let's put it this way. When Cringe made the Sexual 1 comment, his comment has more value than anyone else who thinks I'm a Sexual 6. To put it in perspective, it's incredibly dumb. A head type. Introverted, inhibited by way, right? Careful with his expressions to the environment, always making sure that, you know, it's safe. The Sexual 6 doesn't just express himself so freely because there is a certain fear of expressing yourself and being seen by the world. It's very uncertain. You don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. So the Sexual 6 is much different. But it's an intellectual type. It's introverted. It's much more rigid, much more inexpressive. They don't know what a Sexual 6 is. They still think the 8 core is a sigma, strategic, calculated, doesn't rebel for no reason, highly rational. The Sexual 6 is a chihuahua who barks and yells and rebels senselessly. That's the people's perception of those types. Doesn't do them any justice, but it's very stupid typing. Typing the channel, like, how do you type a channel? More like you type. Okay, he makes correlations. He talks about correlations. He talks like he's rigid about logic. He's a 6 core. Do you see what I'm saying? You're not typing the person. You're not typing who the fuck they are. You're typing, okay, he makes typology content about correlations. So that means he's following this kind of stuff. That means something. You know, in a sense, you're typing a persona rather than the person and how they are in real life or in reality or anything like that.
Yo, why does Paul have your face as his profile picture?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he likes me. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Typology has interesting people, dude.
So
Uh,
just looking, I was like, what the fuck?
how is FI superego like? I would say FI superego is someone whose understanding of relations is very rigid. People closing in distance, people change that relationship changing. The FI super ego person spurs out. They don't know. They might feel worried. They might feel like, why is this person far away? I thought they have to have the relationship in a very rigid, stable way. If there are any changes within the relationship, people getting further, that makes them tweak out. Their understanding of people's what's good, what's bad in that sense, right? What they feel about certain things, their personal attitudes, is very black and white, very black and white, not having any nuance, you know. And it's often we think, fuck it, yeah. But you get the point. Rust has boomer energy. Unironically, I do. It's true. Like I genuinely, and you know what's funny? I really like boomer music too. Like the 80s shit, like the 80s fucking like modern talking. Oh man, fuck. You know, I love that shit. I love that shit, man. Sexual 8 Rust, what would you think of such a typing for you? It's not terrible. It's not like it, you know, you cannot really look, listen. My view of this is if it's an 8 core typing, it's not terrible. It's the person's not stupid, you know. The person's they have an idea of the types and we have no books. So if they type me as a sexual 8, I don't think I should you know, it's understandable. It's understandable, but is it true, right? Is it actually true? Is the neurotic need of the sexual 8 present in me? So you cannot type an 8 core by their superficial characteristics, such as he's loud, he's visceral, he's react. You cannot do that. Because if you open character in the roses, you open the Enneagram 8, they are all the same. All of them are that way. So that's not a good way to look at it. You need to use Enneagram fundamentalism. Well, does he fit the sexual instinct? Right? Does he fit the passion of lust corrupted by the sexual instinct? And if so, how does that manifest really? And why is that a better fit, for example, than social lust? That's a better question to answer rather than typing someone by behavior. Oh, well, he's provocative. It's like, yes, and the truth is most the traits that will be listed will most likely be just your average Enneagram 8 traits, which are not really, they don't say much. You know? People who type Rust sexual 1, it's a new typing. It's fresh, you know? Probably underestimate how authoritative social 8 can be. Yeah. For both Ring and Rust, have you met your dual sociotype in real life? I maybe met my maybe on a party. I maybe met my duo on a party. I swear to God, it was New Year's party, and there was this one dude. Let's just say, from what I know, I like the guy. I like to talk to the guy. He was super fucking chill. We agree on some stuff, the way we viewed workplace and shit. But from what I heard, people didn't like him. They kind of thought he was creepy. But apparently, and it's really funny, he nearly got attacked by the SLE on the party. So the SLE nearly beat him up. It was crazy. I was kind of, I was the most sober on the party, and I was observing the situation, making sure this SLE guy doesn't beat up this ILI guy, because, I mean, it's an ILI. The guy's a nerd, Why would he? Well, he's gonna attack a guy in his own apartment, like, fucking, that's crazy. Just relax. But no one got hurt. But the ILI fucked off right after that. Right after he was threatened, he just left. And that's my experience. It was cool. Cool chatting. Cool interacting. But it's nothing mind-blowing, It's not like, oh, holy shit, this is my duel. Oh my god, I feel it in my bones. Wow, the best thing ever. It wasn't my experience this way. What about you, Ring? Now, you have better experience than me.
I think that, like, looking back at my past before typology and now, a lot of people that I've been close to have almost always been in some level high levels of ethics at minimum. or just being straight up FI bases. I had to analyze my previous relationships, and most of them were like EII, ESI. I think there was an IEI in there, but generally people who have an easier time making sense of and dealing with problems with a person who doesn't understand relational distances and being an FI suggestive myself, being someone who will just say the dumbest, heinous shit to people and think I'm being kind and polite to them because I'm just not considering what the impact actually was. I thought I was being nice and polite and funny and charming, and in reality, I was just honestly just making them feel sad, and I didn't even realize. So that type of stuff happens a lot. So the people that generally gravitate towards me, or at least stay, are people are able to look past all my ethical malfunctions and mishaps and still want to stick around. So um I think that I've had really good relationships with FI based people. I've become a lot wiser, more careful with what I say. I'm able to show more self-respect instead of just being like a clown all the time. Be able to understand conflict better. Um, in general, I think that it's been a very big net positive in my life to have people who are my dual, my semi-dual, or just people who can make up for some of the things that I've lacked. Um, I think that when I look back, sometimes I'm like on social media. I'm not really on social media much, but when I am, I'll look back on posts I did 10, 15 years ago, and I'll see like the dumb shit I was saying, like the dumb inflammatory things, and all because I was trying to be funny, not even inflammatory. I was just trying to make people laugh.
Wow, I was doing the opposite. I was saying shit to be fucking inflammatory.
I was never doing that. I was literally like, I would say like, you guys are all fucking morons, and it was just to make them laugh. But of course, when you call someone a
Why would
fucking
they laugh if
moron,
you called them morons, though? What the fuck kind of logic
because I
was
thought
that?
I was fucking 15. So because I thought if I call people like you're so fucking stupid, ha ha ha, and say
Oh,
it
you
with a
thought
funny
that's a
voice,
fucking. Then you talk to the 8 core and he's like, "Well, what you say? What you say? What
no,
did you use the S word?"
bro, eight cores always appreciate me because I'm
Oh,
never
here we
someone
go
who's trying to
again.
be. Yeah, I don't have a lot of. I've never had a lot of enemies, to be honest.
Yeah,
You
but
know.
so how come? Yeah, but let's reflect that on that. How come you don't have
Oh,
many
here we
enemies? There's
go.
a reason. There's a reason why you don't have many enemies. Let's. What is it?
Um, I don't know. I think people. I've come to the conclusion that people
He's such a social seven, bro. Like I have
mhm.
no enemies. Like seriously, like
I really
okay,
don't. Like
wow.
most people like me. Like and I think that if the only times people have disliked me is I've actively said some like really like heinous shit to them, or I know I'm gonna say something they're gonna disagree with, and then I double down. That happens. So it happens in typology a lot too. Like I'll talk to
Mm.
people who say that like, oh, I don't believe in like LIE E7.
Yeah,
Okay, so I'll double down and be like, yeah, you're fucking wrong. And
yeah.
now we're like mortal enemies in the typology sphere. It's really fucking stupid like that, but y'all know this. It happens all the fucking time. But other than that, like I don't really have enemies. I don't know. I think that in general, I'm not someone who's trying to get something out of people. Maybe. I'm not sure. It's weird. Like I'm not trying to pull a fast one on people. I'm not trying to fucking make them feel small. I try to have a good time, you know? I think
I
life is
try
a
to have a
short
good
thing.
time too, and then motherfuckers get decapitated. How does that work? I just want to have a good time. Like I don't want to take out the guillotine and start decapitating. Like you think I enjoy that? You think I like that shit?
Kinda. You just said you were like inflammatory on purpose when you were
No,
younger.
no, but that's listen, man. Like you, yeah, but that's different because I was young. I'm old now. I'm a
Okay.
boomer. Listen, no, I'm a boomer now. I don't say shit to be inflammatory. At least not consciously. Oh, listen, at least, at the very least, not consciously. I'm not saying something thinking, okay, this is gonna make people upset or angry. I don't think that, you know? I just wanna have a good time. and then decapitations must happen. I don't know what the fuck, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe with you, if this is like a genuine question, if you're not like, kind of just saying that like sarcastically,
I'm
I
not,
would
dude.
think
I'm
that what
serious.
happens with you,
Like I
yeah,
just want to
I can kind
chill.
of figure it out.
Like I just want to live in a peaceful existence, like an 8-wing 9. Do you understand? Like I want to have like an 8-wing 9 experience, like Thanos, right? Sexual one. Just wanna. I'm done decapitating. You know, that's what I'm saying.
You're just not very accommodating. I think that's your problem. I think
And I
that sometimes
and I
when you
don't
hear
agree with
of,
that. And I don't agree with that. Do you know why I don't
all
agree with
right,
that?
tell
When
me.
have I not been accommodating to you? Or my friends? When have I not been accommodating with my friends? Okay, I know you're gonna probably say there's this one time or some shit.
No, I'm not even gonna say that. I think that the reason why I think you are accommodating to your friends, but you also have those moments where you're very like, I'm not gonna use the word critical because then the sexual one comments will go up, but you're someone who has high expectations of their friends and you let them know it, right? And that happens too. You can get into fights about that, and then
Oh my
you're
god, I
someone
know
who
what
has
you're thinking. You're thinking James. Like that's what you're
no,
thinking.
not just him. If it was just him, I'd be like, okay, that's one. That I'm not sure if you
Really? I
want to
have
like
this
name
issue
drop
with other
names.
people?
Yes, yeah, you have expectations for a lot of people. In ways you even have expectations for me too. And then, but
Mm,
that's not. I
mm.
think the problem is that um you can be a bit like this is really hard to explain, but you definitely have expectations for people. When people don't align with the way you see things, you want it to be like resolved. It needs to be talked about. It can't just be like an opinion difference a lot of times, especially with like typology or things that you like. It has to be a conversation, and some people don't want to have a conversation.
Mm.
I get that. And I think a lot of times me and you don't get into those situations because we have a naturally synergistic way of talking. Oh, if we disagree on something, I'm not gonna be like, I'm right, you're wrong, stop being stupid. I'm be like, why do you think that? And we'll
Exactly.
have a conversation about it. And if
Exactly.
you have an
Yeah.
expectation of me, I'd be like, oh, cool. What's your expectation? And I'll be like, that's nice. This is my expectation for you. I won't feel like inferiorized or feel weird if you expect something out of me,
Okay.
because no one expects more things out of me than me. So like I feel like we have circumnavigated a lot of issues because we naturally just have synergistic like personalities. But and in other ways, a lot of people that you talk to that don't want to talk to you when you guys disagree, that want to move away from you, when there's like a disagreement instead of trying to figure it out, trying to talk. I think people with like insecure personalities tend to struggle with you the most. And I think that's something you told me too. I think you told me that as well, that people that have insecure personalities get turned off by extended time with you. And I'm like, that's 100% true.
Yeah, it sounds a
I
bit
think the same
corny
thing
to
happens.
say that. Like, men with small dicks, you usually don't last. Like, they don't know how to cope. But I mean, that's the truth. What the fuck? And I maybe I understand. Maybe I come across as arrogant. But I'm not arrogant. Like,
No, I
I
don't think
like.
you're
I think I'm.
arrogant.
I mean, I always try to be down to earth. You know what I'm saying?
That I would not give you arrogant. I think that I don't know the exact word it is. Maybe any person can tell us exactly, but you need to have that conversation, almost like confrontation. When there's a disagreement, there needs to be energy invested into making that right. And some people are not willing to have that. In fact, feel inferiorized by having that argument, that situation with you,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so they get turned off and they become distant. When
Yeah.
people okay, so when people disagree with me, I don't just analyze their take. I analyze almost everything I know about them and why they're coming to that take. What process took them to get there? Why would they believe such like a dumb take? Is it worth telling them that they're wrong? There's so much things that goes through my mind. But for you, I feel like when it comes to you, you're focused on the inconsistency itself.
Yeah.
That's inconsistent. Why would you focus? And that's very 3L, by the way. That's exactly how 3L is
I
described.
start tweaking now, and it's
Mhm.
like tunnel vision. I get like tunnel vision. It's weird, and I don't really care about anything else, and this can lead to, like maybe
Exactly.
uh, a struggle.
That's exactly what happens. You hyper fixate on the inconsistency. I kind of hyper fixate I don't hyperfixate when it comes to logic. I consider everything. Like it's so important for me to consider everything. Like if someone tells me out of nowhere that I think social three is VEFL, I'm not gonna think, wow, that is dumb because that's inconsistent to what I know. I'll be thinking, what do you know? And I try to understand that person's entire way of thinking before I even go down to the idea
Holy
of
shit! So you do all of
VEFEL.
this,
Hmm.
but don't you feel like you're giving so much of yourself by doing that? Like in a sense, accommodating the other person to such a degree. Like, let me understand. Maybe you give them benefit of doubt, and that's one thing I need to learn. Benefit of doubt. It's hard for me sometimes to give people benefit of doubt. I'm so quick to think. Yeah, I think I'm cynical. Like I'm a bit cynical, so I don't give people as much benefit of doubt sometimes. So if I see some kind of behavior, I see something. It's.
Hmm.
I don't think maybe twice. Maybe if I should maybe even do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You you asked me here like, oh, isn't that like you had a better word for it. Like, is it not worth your time? Is it kind of beneath you to kind of figure out every take? And sometimes, yeah, I do feel that way. I don't have the time, the energy. I have another goal that I'm on, and I
Yeah.
can't sit there. Like, if I'm trying to, like, for example, if I'm trying to push for a certain combination, if someone goes against my thinking, I'll get really like weird and aggressive about it. Sometimes my 2L, baby angel face goes away, and now I'm more like you, where I'm like, that's wrong. Why would you think that? And
Yeah.
I don't like that about myself, but that I know that I'm like that too. But in general, I'm not that attached to every single take. I don't have a goal around it. I like the exploration for itself. Why do I do it? And I mean, there's just really two ways to kind of look at it. You can look at it from the PY perspective of your second placement as your gift to the world, that you will always naturally have that patience, that concern,
Huh.
that social proactiveness. Like it is your gift up to the world to be helpful and beneficial to others with your second placement. I think personally, and I'll take away like typology, why I do that is because I think I'm genuinely interested in like the human condition and why people think what they do. I think it's so interesting not to just like destroy a person's perspective, but just to kind of completely and understand it and even like consume that perspective. So even if I don't agree at the end, I know all the workings of that person and the way that they think that in the future I can change what they're thinking anyway because I know exactly how they're
That's the
synthesizing the
most.
information in the
Isn't
first
that the
place.
Socrates method too? Isn't that the Socratic method where
Hmm.
you ask the person why
Yeah.
before anything else? It's very effective,
Exactly.
and it's funny because I understand intellectually that that's a great
Mhm.
method, but and that's why I'm trying to stay away from correlations. I'm just trying to be super open about stuff because the more invested emotionally I am in the system or anything along those lines, if I believe in something, right? It becomes a game of there's just one truth and this is just the way, and if they deviate from that, that's a problem. And it's annoying. It's
You know,
very annoying, even though I don't
you
want to be that way because I believe, I'm not there to enforce shit on other people. I don't care about doing that. Yet I get pissed because I believe, I don't know, it's some weird shit.
it's so interesting because earlier we literally started this conversation on transformation, right? We started talking about like how even if someone has a typology that's not correct compared to what they really should be, is that like is that are we coping? Should we allow that? Yada yada yada, right? And I wanted to add some additional feelings towards that and why I think that it is okay for people to have semi-incorrect typology, semi-theoretically incorrect typologies if it's helping them. And it's because, just like you, I had this idealistic, not, I wouldn't say idealistic, I had this desire, this expectation that this system would be able to hold up to that level of accuracy, that we would be able to have a system that could give us all the information with like a very small room of error and margin. And I wanted it to be that way. And every single time I used the system to that level of capability, it never really matched it. And
Mm.
there's always gaps, there's always holes. And to expect us to hold that system to the level of functionality that we want it to do, when it's not able to function that level itself, it has that limitation. It's almost like it's disrespectful to us. We have to be realistic with how much it can do, and because of that, I can never say to somebody, you can't be a fucking social 3 VEFL, because the system doesn't give you that a guarantee of that level that this can accurately encompass someone's personality. Because someone's personality is infinitely more perfect and beautiful and true than it is any system at the current moment. So that's why I've taken this perspective of transformation and making sure that we're using the system to help people, because people's personalities are more important than the consistency of the system. So that's what
Oh,
I'm thinking from.
the TI is doing. The TI is sitting and the ignoring. It's chilling. It's all I need. It's people's personalities. It's all of that shit. There's no TI is where's TI? TI is gone. TI is gone. We don't think about TI, which is funny. I do think, to me, the consistency of the framework is like number one, and it takes a while to step away and say, stop being autistic about this consistency within a system. It's fine, So that's kind of how it is. But we're back with questions. Jaden asks, how integral is conscientiousness to socionics elements? Does it affect your type a lot? What if someone related to rational static type but is low conscientiousness? To be honest, if you looked at each type, the pattern is that the rational types tend to be organized and the irrational types tend to be unstructured. Now, that's kind of the point, That's not to say it's such a hard rule, because an SLE, in my opinion, can be organized, they can be unstructured, it doesn't matter. But generally speaking, that's the pattern. That's how I would look at it. Is Tarantino an example of a static type? Now, I don't know what to type Tarantino. I know some people do type him ILE or something. But people around me, they do type him as static type. So that's correct. Hassan has ADHD. I have ADHD probably too. Someone actually compared me to Hassan one time, but they said that it's probably a horrible comparison. Like it's very bad comparison, but they didn't mean it in a bad way. They're more like, when Hassan is more healthy, that's kind of like you remind me of Hassan. I'm like, okay, hopefully. It's I mean, fuck, he's an 8-core, so he's probably gonna be a very controversial figure, right? Jesus Christ, that's the way we go. What do you think low tier God is? Maybe an 8? Mr. Beast typology, maybe a social 7 for Mr. Beast. Do you like social 7 for Mr. Beast, right?
It's just one of those things that it makes sense from the amount of research I've done. I've heard alternative takes like SP3. I don't really see SP3. I think his social 7 is fine, but he's not a guy I want to go really research either. Low tier God, same thing. These are not people. Like I barely perceive these people as people. They're like fictional characters made so people
Yeah,
give them
yeah.
donations, subscriptions,
Yeah. I get you.
Just throw money at them.
FVEL as before seems so fishy. Why would a non-hedonist type? First of all, we type FVLE as LSE, SP3. They're not a hedonist, but we typed them as that. I don't want to say it, but 2V influences first physics in a way. Give it more moderation, right? To me, I know SP4. I type my wife as an SP4, and I could never type her as 1E. I don't give a fuck what anyone tells me. I don't care if people tell me, no, this correlation doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. I don't give a shit. I don't care, because I'm not going to deny something I fucking see. A person who's more coped out about expressing vulnerability and emotions than me, I'm not going to be like, oh shit, yeah, that's fucking 1E. Absolutely not. This is very detached mindset. I know that SP4 in real life can be 3E, and I'm sticking to that. Is it also a superego FI if the person thinks the criteria of someone else to create relationships? Yes. Yes, role superego FI can be this way, especially if it's like imagine an SCE or IE sexual 7 Don Juan going around flirting with every girl, making them fall in love with him, but then he's like, oopsie, bye bye. FI role person is gonna be look at that and be like, what the fuck? That's not how you navigate relationships, you degenerate motherfucker. And that's what they're gonna do. And then you know decapitation. That's what happens. Rusted Ramsey. That's good. I fuck with that. Ring, how do you see your NI creative? Would you be able to talk about time and events for hours in a creative way? Or is it not that much?
That's so interesting. I'm so tempted to now ask you, how do you see the creative function? How do you see NI and all these other questions? But I'll try to answer what I think you're trying to say. To me, right, NI isn't, of course, it's about like finding the right time to do shit, right? My I will say that seven out of 10 times is utilized in a way to prevent blows to my SI. I, against all odds, want to avoid the mundane life. I want to avoid pain. I want to avoid uncomfortable situations. I never want time to be invested in a way in which I feel that I'm stimulated, that it is a benefit to my physical self or the happiness of the people I keep around me. And so you could get confused because I will always see it in the lens of time, really. Um, when I'll be working on something and I'm getting exhausted, I'm not going to say that I'm exhausted. I will say this is taking up too much time, which I think is really interesting to me because this is something I start to notice about myself a lot. But people around me will always say I'm like a hoarder of time, but not in the same way that maybe an LSC would hoard time. Every time someone needs me for something, they're like, hey, I need you to perform this activity, I'll be like, I can only do this activity for you for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and then I have to go. And they'd be like, why? Are you running out of time? And I was like, no, that's not actually why at all. I'm running out of my physical like ability to sustain myself in this current moment, and I want to get out of here using time as like an escape. I just don't have the time to do these activities. I could talk about time in a more abstract sense. That's where I could say the other 7 out of 10 times. I said 3 out of 10 times, where it's this idea of our life and how it's morphed evolutionary wise into other things. Like sometimes I'll talk to Russ here about it. Like simple things like, oh, why do we wear white on Labor Day? It's like what's the point? Or why people don't really wear white after Labor Day or some shit, And the evolution of where that came from and what the historical context was on why we do the things we do, and almost sometimes the irrationality of doing certain things right now that are only done because we did it before because of an error that wasn't corrected. And now people are miserable. People are suffering because certain things weren't changed. But I also like to speculate. I like to speculate how things will change over time. I like to think about how what Russ has said in this call, how that change our channel, in one way or another. How that change the podcast. Will speaking up about this one thing right now lead to a good outcome or a bad outcome? So often I'll take a step back before being completely impulsive, and I would project, if I did this right now, this action, would this be the best action for the future that I really want? Or will it just make everything worse? And what is a good future? That good future is always linked to my superego, which is a future where everyone around me that I care about is happy, and then I'm in a good state of well-being. I'm not uncomfortable, neither are the people around me. So whenever I'm talking about activity, I'm talking about how things will evolve over time, I am always really just talking about ways I can avoid people being negative and me being stuck in mundane situations. So I could talk a lot about NI a lot, but I wouldn't be able to talk to you about NI in it itself. It will always be in connection to many different aspects of me because I utilize, just like you do, you utilize your ego block to solve problems everywhere. So I always see my NI as like that really useful guy that I know. I actually have this running joke with Rust. I say time is my friend. And it's true because to me, time has never been my problem. My body has been my problem. My life has been my problem in a very concrete, real way, not this projected problem, but right now problem. So yeah, just to end there, I can talk probably about this shit all day, but it wouldn't be just NI. It would just be how everything kind of evolves around in my life.
Holy shit. Holy shit. Low conscientiousness ESI is real. I don't want to say low conscientiousness ESI and then say sexual thought. That's a correlation typing. Is it the sexual thought that has low conscientiousness or the ESI? The ESI I know is highly conscientious.
I know a sexual for ESI. Conscientiousness is giga high. So I don't know, like where that even comes from either.
I mean, ESI is ESI, if for ESI to be low conscientiousness, how does that work? Rational type, TI roll, holy shit. It's a bit weird, but not the end of the world. Do you all think we are born with the core type, but maybe the instinctual variants are created? I feel like that's kind of a good theory. We're probably that's the temperament we're born with, and the environment maybe kind of directs it into a certain instinctual variant. I could see that. That's a nice theory. Let's keep moving forward. Gatsu. I don't know what Gatsu is. Someone ask a question. Sorry guys if we don't answer again. Thoughts on the new Snow White movie? Dog shit. Dog shit and terrible. First of all, what are they doing? So when you are trying to have a remake, right, following a remake of a story, why are you butchering this story? Why are you taking a character that doesn't fit the character that was supposed to be in the book or in the story? You even change the reasons. Well, she's called Snow White not because she has very white skin. It's because she has this and that and that. Well, why are you making it the fuck up? What's the point? It's to be woke. Snow White is woke garbage. That's what it is. Now listen, I would consider myself pretty liberal. And ironically, I'm a brainwashed liberal now, okay? No different than Hassan. So I get that. And I understand that. But listen, the wokeness on that movie, that's not liberal. We do not associate with that. That's not liberal. That is wokeness. And people hate the movie. It's shit. But now listen. Also, do you know Bird? Her name is Bird or something. She's a political commentator. She's making a new Snow White movie. But guess what? And she will claim that this woke Snow White is gonna be way worse than her version of Snow White because she's traditional. And what's funny? I really find ironic is that it's gonna be also as shit as this woke version, and for a different reason, because they will cater to the conservatives. Oh, traditional woman, she needs to be saved by a man, by a prince. Oh my god, and she just wants to be a housewife. She fucking loves cooking and shit. And it's gonna be super, super, like, conservative. So from the perspective, it's like, they're both shit. Liberal garbage, woke garbage, conservative extremism garbage. Making a movie. Now, I loved Adolescence, by the way, and I want you all to watch Adolescence. I swear to God, guys, literally, you will love Adolescence. You will. You like it. And one of the things that I really liked about the show Adolescence is, it's crazy, it's one shot. And that changes the whole vibe of the movie, of the show. So what I'm saying is, when you see the camera, there's no cuts. They're not cutting, not a single cut. They are with the characters everywhere. They are moving with the characters throughout every scene. And that gives such an immersive feeling to the movie. It's like, holy shit, I'm going through those kind of motions, right? I'm in home, now I'm in school. But I obviously had to be in the car. I was in the journey. And it's like, holy shit. I loved it. I loved the movie. I felt the message was good. You know, people might like it because Andrew Tate's mentioned. I feel like it's a good message. You know, young kids are being influenced by the shit that you see. Jamie was an insecure kid. Jamie felt like he was ugly. Jamie was insecure. He didn't believe in himself, right? So he then consumed media. He was isolated from his parents. His parents weren't bad people. His parents were not bad people at all. But shows you the damage that not only your family does, because people think it's the parents that are always at fault. To a certain degree, maybe, sure, of course, but society, the media that we consume, the fucking TikTok, you know how much TikTok brainwashes kids and damages them? It's crazy. How much school? Like, you leave your kid in school for 8 hours, and this school is a fuckfest. We all know it. You know, I went to a school that was pretty fucked up. You know, we had some fights. We had fights in schools. We had drugs, everything. I didn't participate in that shit. I didn't be like, oh yeah, I could smoke. People were offering me, you want to smoke every fucking time. And every time I said, no, I don't want that shit. You know, but many people in that situation, they'd be influenced. They would go with the crowd and be like, oh shit, you told me, yeah, okay. But it's such a bad environment. And the difference is, when we were young, we didn't have fucking Andrew Tate. When we were young, we didn't have the incel bullshit. We didn't have TikTok when we were young. No one gave a fuck about that. Now, kids are growing with TikTok. Kids are growing with someone like Andrew Tate saying women, women, women. And it's not good for anyone. It's not, you know? And the kid needs a role model. The kid needs... That's why the father has to be present. He has to be so fucking present, you know? It's not because he's more important than the mother, but more so because the kid, it's his relationship with masculinity, with other women, it will be crafted also with his father, through his father, you know, with how his father treats his mom, and how his father is like, what values he teaches him. So I love that fucking movie, man. Shit, I love that movie. I can't keep stop. It's not. Well, you say adolescence is propaganda. You can say that shit about everything. Every movie has a message, and if it has a message, you can say it's propaganda. Personally, it has a message for sure. It has a message, and you can claim that's propaganda. I'm fine with that though, because to me, I see the message. I think this message is real. I think many people have this fucking problem, because you have kids with low self-esteem watching Andrew Tate or watching Patrick Bateman's Sigma edits, and then you have them act fatherless. Why do you think so many people, so many young men in Typology act as cringe as they do? Why do you think that? That's in a similar fucking fashion. That's the same shit. No fucking role model, and being guided by those fucking ideas of what they think is cool and Sigma. And that's why this behavior happens. It's degenerate, it's fucked up, it's shitty, sure, but that's the reason. And we need to be we need to take accountability for that, you know? Fuck. I love that movie, man. By the way, someone was asking me why there was someone asking me this one. By the way, someone was asking me this question. Wait, where the fuck are you guys? Okay, wait. So why is SE called a politician? Isn't SE an honesty-seeking type? No. A FI ego doesn't mean that you are honest. If that is what you want to do, you can value that, sure. But an FI ego means you are autonomous. You can use FI however you want. You can manipulate relationships. You can distance yourself whenever you want. You can use those relationships to get what you want. It's up to you. It can be used for good and it can be used for bad. So I think SCE as the politician is very fitting because that's what they do. Someone who garners a lot of influence and very good with their relationships, then they are able to get in a higher position in the hierarchy. For sure, I mean, I think it makes sense. Okay, let's see what you guys say. They only did 2 takes in one day. Yeah. Read theory, says Popman. You said that shit twice, and I'm curious what you mean by that. What do you mean by read theory? What theory? What do you mean? Um,
Music theory. That's
I
good.
don't know. I don't know what he's saying. He said that shit twice, and it's so random. Like read theory. Adolescence was dude. That oh my fucking god. The episode 3. The kid actor was so good and was such a psychological. By the way, for anyone in the chat, I type the psychiatrist probably an EII. Little old Jamie, probably a sexual foe. So it's a very interesting kind of dynamic where they start very well. She's a psychiatrist. She's supposed to evaluate them. Holy shit, so fucking good. I love good cinema, and you guys should too. Is SCE sexual for a thing? For many people it is, but it is up to you to decide, my friend.
Imagine how toxic our podcast would be if we had like a voting option. Let's let the chat decide.
Oh
We
yeah,
like to do a little
what's real?
vote.
What's real? I mean, I do genuinely want you guys to just decide for yourself. And at the very least, all you need to do is to go to my comment section on any of my videos and ask, hey, I want to read the 4 book. Do you have the 4 book? I want to make my own conclusion. I would send you that shit, no problem. That's not an issue for me whatsoever. But many people don't. It's very rare for me to see a comment, someone saying, hey, can I get the book? Can I get the resource? I want to learn. It's like, just tell me what works. And it's like, dude, it's not good for you. It's not good for you. It's always better if you yourself commit to the logical fucking conclusion. And what about the Little Mermaid movie? Little Mermaid. I watched a Mermaid movie. Dune with a female kind, Black Cleopatra, and also I'm pretty sure Black Anne Boleyn from the Tudors. Black Anne Boleyn. And it's more crazy because it's a historical figure. So it's crazy when you're like, yeah, she was white, but well, you fuck it. I mean, listen, we need to fill the quota. We need how many black people? 10? Shit. Let's hit the Anne Boleyn. Something new, something fresh, Like that's crazy. That's crazy work. If I was, imagine yourself as a historical figure, and then you see and like, wait, which actor is supposed to play me? Dwayne Johnson? I don't even fucking look like Dwayne Johnson. It's like, what the fuck, dude? It's crazy, man. It seems a bit if it was made to tell insecure people that they should feel insecure. No. No. You haven't watched it though. See, that's the thing. You watch it, you see it. It's you cannot, to be honest, you cannot judge something without watching it. So, but it doesn't tell insecure people to feel bad because they're insecure. It tells them that just because you're insecure, and insecure people are more likely maybe to be influenced by negative stimuli and influence that makes them act out in those ways. Unironically, that movie is peak 3V movie. Anyone who is 3V, you should just watch that shit. And maybe you do even relate. Be like, oh shit, the whole society is against me. I'm fucking coped. I listen to fucking Andrew Tate, and I'm I'm an incel. It's like, shit, holy shit, you found your movie, But on a serious note, it doesn't tell you should feel like shit because you're insecure. More like, just because you feel insecure, you should find other means of dealing with it. That's all it means. You know, that's all it says. I mean, that guys, check the ratings on that show. Check the ratings on the fucking show. It's crazy, isn't it? 90%. Last time I saw it was 99%. I'm not sure if it's still 99%, but that's crazy level. Okay, guys, listen. 2 more minutes and we're bouncing. Okay. Marxist theory, of course. Oh, I love how you're funny because you like read theory, Rust, and you do it in the most random times. And it's and then you're like Marxist theory, of course. It's like, of course it's Marxist theory. I mean, he tells me to read a theory. Of course it's gonna be Marxist theory. Makes perfect sense. But it's so funny, right? My take, I didn't really read his I wasn't too much into his like ideology, but my take is that fuck the capitalism, but also giving people, you know, the idea where everyone has the same amount of money, everyone has the same amount of resources. In the sense that I also see issues with this, and I see issues with how society is not going to grow. And for some people who maybe want to grow bigger than that, want to go higher than that, they just cannot do that because they have to be stuck with everyone else. So even though I wish money wasn't the fucking, I wish money wasn't the most important in the world, you know, I don't think it should be the most important. I think it's shallow. But at the same time, I think it's not that simple, basically. It's not that simple. But either way, any extreme is I'm anti-extreme. In any extreme. Because it doesn't work. You know, it just doesn't work. What I think is how we create good role models is we use Sigma stuff people allies, like projecting power, being moved by the owner, but we should make those desires. Well, it's fine, but we live in a society that promotes the wrong values in general. I mean, Andrew Tate becomes so famous. And there are men, genuinely men, who watch him and be like, wow, he has those cars. And he has those, like, women. Oh my God. Wow. I'm going to idolize him. Why? But there's nothing to him. It's just materialism. And in the truth is that the society does value that materialism, the luxury. And for many men, it seems to be that that's a sign of status. If I'm rich, I have a status, I'm rich. But I always say true strength comes from within. No money can buy it, no nothing can buy it. Nothing can buy true strength. Nothing can buy fulfillment. Nothing can buy true contentment. You know, a monk, for example, a fucking monk, right? A Buddhist monk, whatever the fuck. He's more content and fulfilled than any other person, even though he has nothing. Because it comes from within, not from the external world. I always say this shit, you know? There's a healthy middle ground. I agree with you guys. That's what I'm saying. Okay, guys, listen. We need to be bouncing because it's 2 hours. It was a fun stream with you guys. And we'll see each other on Friday next week. As usual. Okay?
Yeah.
So, thank you for all the questions. There was a lot of questions. Sorry for not being able to cover them. We decapitated the smart people who try to be sneaky. We don't like sneaky motherfuckers. We decapitate them on sight. So don't you worry, guys, okay? Don't worry. Next time there's anything like that, it's decapitation on sight. No words spoken. Bye-bye. Take care. Rusted Nation, we are out. Ciao.
See y'all.
See yous. And we are bouncing.